Hi, this is my story for our ELA assignment for Honors English 11. My name is Jemma Glevicky and I'm in Bell 10. And the name of my story is The Rabbit, the Fox, and the Raven. And it starts off with one day in the forest. There is a little rabbit named Blossom. And ever since Blossom was a baby, she has always had a mission of getting the largest carrot on Mr. Henry's farm. And as she is hopping throughout the forest, she stumbles upon Felix the Fox. Now, Felix the Fox was known for playing these tricks on people, and he found it funny when he had tricked many creatures in the forest. So it was something he was known for. And when Felix saw Blossom, he thought this was the perfect opportunity to pull a trick. So he starts talking to Blossom and asks, what are you doing outside the rabbit den? And as Blossom comes hopping along, Felix the Fox comes up, and she's sitting on the ground, and her head snaps at the fox, and she says, "I'm looking for the carrot farm. Do you know where this farm is at?" And she's so excited and curious to see if he knows the answer, because she's been searching all day for the carrot farm. She's been searching since she was little. And of course, Felix the Fox, that has known the land for a long time now, he remembers that he does, but he needs this gem, this sacred green gem. And he's worried because he needs to keep up the journey to look for it. But then an idea pops up in his head. He says, "I will do you an offer. If you help me find this gem, I will take you to the carrot farm." And of course, she agrees with him, and she says, what do you need? I'm the fastest rabbit in the forest. And as he gets closer and closer, listening to her, as his teeth snarl at her, bam! As a crack flies through the sky, landing down on the fallen tree, there is a raven with her black onyx feathers on her body and her luminescent violet eyes snapped at the fox. The moonlight shining down on her, creating a soft glow. And she says, "We're not making another deal now, are we, Felix?" And she cocks her head to the side in suspicion, because she knows Felix is known for making these deals. She knows that he's always been the type of person to play tricks on these creatures in these forests. "Me making deals? I never make deals," said Felix the Fox. And she narrowed her eyes at him, almost sensing she knew he was lying. She was suspicious of it already. She knew, but she couldn't prove it. And when she goes and looks over at the tiny rabbit in the corner of her eye, she says, "You should stay away from Felix. He tends to." As the raven spoke, Felix the Fox, here's the branch, he pounced up on there. And as the raven flew up into the night sky, rapidly flying away just so she wouldn't get hit by Felix the Fox, he chuckled nervously because he didn't want his secret to become well known to this rabbit. And he lands back on the ground and says, "I need you to get me the sacred green gem. It was lost. This gem was lost about 200 years ago when some explorers during a camping trip had gone wrong." And Blossom the rabbit, obviously in curiosity, asked, "Why do you need this gem? What's so important about it?" And he just said he liked to collect items, and he's praying that she falls for the lie. He's praying that she doesn't ask questions, and she agrees eventually to get him the sacred gem if he takes her to the farm. And they make a deal. This is part 2. So as the two creatures continued, we have the bunny and the fox as they walked through the forest, as the huge trees and the pines whistled as the wind blew throughout the forest. Blossom turned her head quickly, looking at the bushes that would make noise from the wind, as she nervously lowered her head, scared from all the noises in the forest. And she came to an abrupt stop, and they come across this wall full of rocks and caves where this gem was. And Felix the fox says, "I need you to go and squeeze through the cracks." And she, of course, agrees with this. So she hops, and squeezes through the cracks. And minutes later, she ends up coming out with the gem around her neck. And the fox quickly ran over and snatched it from the rabbit without saying anything. And he prances throughout the forest, and he laughs in excitement and laughs in victory, saying, "Haha, I did it. I got the sacred green gem," as he exclaimed. And he feels this burst of happiness, and almost like he won a marathon. Something big just happened for him. And as Blossom the rabbit, she's watching all of this, even though she just did it for him, and he didn't actually go to get it. But she ignores it because she knows we're going to go to the carrot farm now, and she's going to get that carrot. So she had asked, okay, what's going on now? Are you going to take me to this carrot farm? And he says, "Oh yeah, no, if you go 3 miles from here, if you keep going north, you should see a fence, a chain wire link fence." And apparently there was this cut in the chain link fence. And he's like, "You should be able to get in, it's no problem." And she is so thankful for all the help from him. So she thanks him. She's very grateful, and she's so excited to get the biggest carrot on the farm. As she wishes him farewell, as she continues her journey throughout the forest. Her tiny little figure hopping through the forest. Hop, 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 hop. She is so excited for this carrot, and she starts to feel a bit tired from the 3 miles she had just walked. And she keeps telling herself, just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. Mom will be so proud when she sees such a big carrot that I brought home. As she hurried along through the fence, bop, 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 she passes the sign. And this sign says, "Beware hunting dogs." And this is the part where it gets dangerous. As she taps throughout the field, row after row, there's fresh vegetables on every side, as the apple trees hid the moonbeams from her, adding a slight dimness to the rows. She feels a cool breeze against her as her fur sticks up, sending a shiver down her back. She sniffs throughout the field as she tries to find where this carrot is, quickly before following where she had smelt it, scurrying off the other way. And at last, she sees the carrot right in front of her eyes. But then she doesn't realize what was behind her. And snap came from behind her. As she stood in place, there's this big figure behind her, an American foxhound snarling with its teeth inches away from her face. As she scurried out, running, darting throughout the fields of the rows of the food, her body sliding, splashing into the mud piles, her white fur getting all muddy from the mud. because it had recently just rained. As she quickly recovered, she ran, kept turning other ways, and continuing to sprint, trying to get any sort of way away from him. As her body was in this sort of panic mode, she realized she was trapped in a corner as another foxhound, 2 foxhounds now cornering her as she's in this corner. As the dogs approached her, their snarling teeth snarled with drool as the drool connected to the canine of their teeth, ready to tear her to shreds. As that figure swooped down from the sky, its wings flapping above the dog, as the dog both yelped as the figure began pecking at their eyes. Peck, 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 flapping their wings, trying not to get bit by the dogs. As the dogs scurried off, trying to get away from the attack, she realized who it was. It was Echo the Raven. She had just saved her life. She exclaims, like, "Thank you so much, you just saved my life." And she hops over to Echo, giving her a big hug, so thankful that she was there, and feeling this sort of sense of gratitude towards her. And Echo feels like the time is right now and says, I didn't get to tell you before he scared me off, but Felix is known for his lying. He is meant to trick you, and he never actually ends up doing the part of the deal. And hearing this news made Blossom realize what such of a bad creature Felix was in the forest. So she shook it off and said, "Come on, let's get that carrot and let's get out of here." Rabbit and the Raven went through the forest as Blossom dragged the carrot as she walked throughout the forest, as Echo followed beside her, hopping on her 2 front feet. Almost back to Blossom's family burrow, so excited to eat the big carrot with her mom. And a sound coming from the distance calls out. And as they stop, they look up and they see a similar figure from earlier that day. Up in the tree, up here, is Felix the Fox, up here. And he's yelling for anybody to hear him, saying, "Somebody help me, please, can anybody hear me?" Desperate for somebody to hear him, to get him out of this trap. And as hearing this from below, Echo and Blossom look up, and he says, "Hey, you too, I'm trapped, please help me up, I'm up in the tree," not realizing who it was from earlier that day. And as they came into the moonlight, into view, their faces were seen by Felix, and he nervously laughs it off, saying, "Hey, it's me, Felix, haha, you gotta help me out, I'm trapped up here," nervously laughing it off. And he's desperate at this point, he's trapped up in this tree, he doesn't know what to do. And Echo, as this good friend who just saved Blossom's life, she questions, and she was very suspicious from the start. And Blossom was a bit naive and didn't know who Felix was in the beginning. So she says, "Why should we help you? You tricked Blossom into almost getting her killed on the farm and leaving those vicious beasts. You knew those vicious beasts were out and could have gotten to her. What if she wasn't going to be able to get out?" And as Echo said that, she stomped her foot against the dirt, and mad, she went boom as she put her foot down on the ground. And as Felix heard her words, realizing the wrongfulness in his actions, feeling this sort of guilt come over him, like any person with empathy would. and his eyes lowered in guilt, feeling bad for tricking this poor rabbit. And, he exclaims, like, I'm sorry, you were right, I shouldn't have tricked you, I was wrong, and I promise I won't play another trick on another animal in this forest, like, could you please let me out? As he's pleading in desperation, because it was the only way of him getting out of this trap. And, Blossom, her head nodded, and as Echo flapped up into the trap, as she hung onto the net and pecked her way through the net, freeing him from the trap. And his body fell down onto the ground, and he exclaims, like, thank you so much, like, I promise I will not trick another creature in this forest ever again. You have my word. And he nodded to them in gratitude, and then scurried off into the bushes as the bushes shaked behind them. As Echo and Blossom continued making it back to burrow, the two were finally able to get the biggest carrot in the forest and enjoyed their meal and eventually had gone to bed. I hope you really enjoyed my story because I had a lot of fun writing this. And that is the end of The Rabbit, the Fox, and the Raven.